Hong Kong. The name says many things to many people. Its two short syllables speak of adventure and of romance, of fortunes made and lost. But don't be deceived by this tinsel world. Hong Kong plays hard, but it also works hard. What's more, just an hour away by train lies the frontier with the People's Republic of China. This is the dominant fact in the life of this British territory, that most of its land area lies on the Chinese mainland, that the vast majority of its population is Chinese, and that however westernized it may seem to be, the strongest influence on its being comes from Chinese history and culture. The flow of visitors across the border is never ending, as friends and relatives, businessmen and tourists move between these two totally different but interdependent worlds. As well as people, from China comes much of Hong Kong's food and water, and in the other direction goes technology and hard cash. Looking across the frontier into China, one cannot escape the fact that Hong Kong is a glaring, astounding paradox, a fantastic capitalistic success story, somehow coexisting alongside one of the world's greatest communist states. And although 9/10 of Hong Kong's land is leased from China until 1997, that fact is probably an irrelevance. All Chinese on both sides of the border regard Hong Kong as part of China, because being Chinese transcends matters of mere politics. The history of Hong Kong's relationship with Britain goes back more than 140 years. Its history as part of China stretches back into the dimmest mists of time. This is a reconstruction in Hong Kong of a Chinese village, as it would have looked 1,000 years ago. The Sung Dynasty village is constructed of traditional materials, pine wood, stone, and ceramic tiles. Most of the staff who play the part of the villagers are dressed in authentic period costume. Although this is a commercial undertaking, the owner and designer wants the village to revive interest in Chinese traditional culture and crafts. Don't forget, he's telling them, that this is part of the history of the whole of China, and that includes Hong Kong. Although the Sung village is a reconstruction, Hong Kong has plenty of genuine links with its rambunctious past. The cannons survive from a time when piracy and smuggling were an everyday part of commercial life. These clan villages also date from less peaceful times. Enclosed by sturdy walls, the inhabitants felt more secure from pirates and marauding bands. They're called clan villages because the people all belong to the same group of families. And in the new territories, that part of Hong Kong leased from China, the traditional clan organizations have been preserved, notably among the Hakka people. In the past, the Hakka, with their distinctive headgear, were pirates or sea gypsies. Now they're fishermen and farmers. In the clan villages, the most important building is the Ancestral Hall, where records of the ancestors are kept and venerated. This hall is the center of both religious and social activities among members of the same clan. Life out here in the countryside bears little relation to the jazzy image of Hong Kong around the harbour, with its neon lights and its high-rise commercial offices. A lone musician, plays an old folk tune that evokes images of the Hong Kong countryside. This is a reminder of what the whole of Hong Kong once was, and what some of it still is. An agricultural and fishing community, a lush tropical land, where the villagers take their living from the fields and from the sea, and where the native Chinese culture remains largely unchanged. If you really want to see old Hong Kong, you have to take to the water. Apart from Kowloon and the new territories on the mainland, all the rest is islands. Besides Hong Kong, there are more than 200 other islands, the largest of which is Lantau, perhaps twice as big as Hong Kong Island itself. Precisely because they do lie at the end of a boat journey, these outer islands and their villages like Tai-o have been able to retain more of their traditional character and calm than those that lie nearer the commercial centre. Tai-o village doesn't rush out to welcome the visitor and relieve him of his cash. It just slumbers contentedly in the sunshine and waits to be enjoyed. For these school children, returning home to Tai-o must be like a daily journey in a time machine. All day long they learn to solve the problems of the computer age at school, and then back across the water they come to streets and to street games that have remained unchanged for centuries. Whether religion is an important part of the life of Hong Kong is a point that's often argued. Certainly places of worship abound. The Monastery of the 1,000 Buddhas is one of 600 Taoist and Buddhist temples. With the Chinese, there seems to be safety in numbers. Religion is a matter of belt and braces. If one doesn't support you, then perhaps the other one will. As well as Buddhists and Taoists, there are about 50 Christian denominations and sects, running another 600 churches and chapels and a number of monasteries, like this one at Sha Tin. Organized Christianity goes back almost to the foundation of the colony, and numerous missions have been active ever since. The inmates of this monastery spend their time painting ceramic ware with familiar scenes from the scriptures, but not altogether familiar. Man creates his gods in his own image, and this Christ and his followers at this Last Supper are depicted with Chinese features. There is so much in Hong Kong that is almost but not quite familiar. You may have been horse racing, but you've never been to a racecourse quite like Sha Tin. Not only is it one of the most modern in the world, but 10 years ago it was underwater. This site, covering 250 acres, was reclaimed from the sea. In the early days of the colony, racing was introduced by the British solely for their own amusement. But like so many other things in Hong Kong, it's since been adopted and adapted by the Chinese community. They have an age-old passion for gambling.